Hey guys, welcome back to New Digs. And we're here in Avon, Connecticut at the garden of a friend and co-worker of mine, Jan Nickel.
It's beautiful. I can't wait to get going through this garden because I've been wanting to see this garden for a long time because I know it was featured in Sydney Edison's Gardens to Go book, and I've always loved a particular urn that I saw in that book. So
it's like this famous urn that we're gonna see. And I just wanted to give you a little background. Jan became a master gardener in 1997, and she was on the Garden Conservancy's Open Days garden tours from 2001 to 2009, twice, July and September. So she had to have the garden ready.
That's
for
a lot of work.
A lot of work. And if you don't know, the Garden Conservancy features home gardens, but really, really special ones. It's a big honor to be included. And so this garden that Jan designed with her husband it's fabulous.
And it's a garden that's been developed slowly over the past nearly 40 years.
Yep.
So I'm very excited. So let's get going.
So we're here with my friend and co-worker, Jan Nickel, and we are at one of the most spectacular gardens. I've been dying to see this property.
Thank you so much for inviting us to your magical garden. I have to admit, I've seen the photos of it in Sydney Edison's book.
Gardens to Go.
Gardens to Go was the one that I saw.
It's so aspirational for me because my property is similar. It's very wooded. I mean, we're here in Avon, Connecticut, next to a country club road, which is pretty busy, but you feel how tranquil it is here. I mean, you feel like you're,
This doesn't feel like a garden that came out of a box. This feels like you've been working on this for a long
Yeah,
time.
because they're literally, 1978 we moved here, and there really wasn't anything. I think he had a couple, junipers by the driveway, but in essence, we bought it from the builder himself.
And I know that one big part of your aesthetic is that you're not going to find a lot of lawn here with a lot of lawn chemicals on it. I know that
there's lawn out there, and there's like a thin strip going up there, which is mostly weeds. And that's it.
Yeah, and that basically you've created garden rooms in here. I mean, it's about a 1 acre property.
It's
not
just shy of a 1 acre.
It's not a giant property, but it feels massive because your eye is drawn so many different places, and your design sense, I think, is.
It kind of makes you, what my plan was, make you look beyond where you're just standing and go into that space.
Yeah, to borrow landscape beyond.
Right. They always
your
say borrow
trees
the
connect
view.
with the view beyond. I love that.
Yeah.
And it's largely it's a green garden.
Yes.
It's not a one-note garden at all.
No. And the thing is, it's all perennials. So everybody has their little bloom time. And right now we're just waiting for the fall to kick in. You're starting to see some of it, but it's all weather dependent.
Yeah.
Right. You've got the turtle head behind that's about to be gorgeous. Full glory.
Right. Yep.
And one other thing I know about your design aesthetic is that you like to plant big swaths of things.
Yes.
You don't. One thing you've always said is, I hate gardens where there's just a little clump of this.
Yeah. Well, I want one of this and I want one of that. That doesn't really it's no benefits for the plant.
Right.
Because especially if it's a perennial, it's going to have a long time to show, but not lead to anything else.
So it's also better for the bees to have big clumps because bees like to come to one kind of flower and then really just work those flowers and then.
So all those nuances of green, and I see you have some variegated things this wolfeyes here.
There actually is a lot throughout the garden,
which we're so excited to see.
Yes.
And we want to talk about too a lot of the walkways and a lot of the wooden obelisks and things like that. I know your late husband built.
Yes.
So can't wait to see those as well.
Okay.
Let's walk here. Let's get some of these close up. So now a lot of people grow this. I've seen little ageratums, the little
those
cotton
are the
ball.
annuals.
Right.
This is the perennial.
And I think we're not going to find annuals in this garden.
No,
basically.
Not.
So this is a perennial. Not a one. So this is a perennial ageratum, and look at how statuesque it is.
And it likes to grow here. It does not like fertilizer. A lot of my plants I feed, actually the whole garden I feed one time a year, 10-10-10.
Okay.
And I just broadcast it. and that's it. That's all they get.
And what about watering? Do you have to?
When I established this garden, I hand watered. It took me about 2.5 hours in the evening to do that. I do not do that anymore. If it needs it, I have a sprinkler that I move different spots. It's mounted on a milk carton.
There you go.
Chicka all the way around, and that's it.
Well, it's great with this kind of denseness, right? As these guys all, because I see you leave a lot of seed pods on things so that the plants are going to go to seed.
Well, and it always adds interest when you don't have the bloom time. I like seed pods, and birds like them. The little finches like sit on top of them and go up and down.
Yeah. It's interesting because, I mean, there are hot colors here in terms of the ligularia and things, the yellow. Yeah. But for the most part, it's like
it relies on foliage.
Yeah, but the colors are, and we got to talk about this gorgeous
Angelica.
thing. This is Angelica. Now I have one that looks, well, it's the big white flower.
I think you had Victor's Mead.
Which, and by the way, it tipped over and died. So I would love to have some of these seeds.
Yes.
So this one's called what?
That one's called Angelica giga, Gigas.
Okay.
And it might take 1 or 2 years for the little babies to like this one right here is a baby.
Oh yeah.
So I'm saying probably next year this might grow into be that. I'm not really sure. But it's just usually like 2 years.
Okay.
Because these were here, and I probably should have taken them out, but because it's gotten way less Baptisia, but I put it.
And this is Baptisia, which is one of our favorites.
Go into bloom.
Yeah, it's gonna have pink.
This is Gibraltar. It's pink.
Pink.
Yeah.
And that is a shrub that looks so delicate, but it's really.
It is very hard.
It's
It's
tough.
part of the pea family.
Oh yeah, it looks.
And it dies down totally flat to the ground. And each year it just regrows.
Even though it's a woody, it's a shrub.
Yeah.
But it dies all the way back.
It's considered a perennial.
It is.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it just, like I say, there's nothing left, and usually by the time the leaves are done in fall, it's gone.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Now, what about this thing? Because I know this is one of your favorites. I remember us talking about it.
This is Persicaria.
Persicaria.
Called Painter's Palette. There's red. These little spikes are red.
But look at that leaf.
I know, it's so pretty. And it really
Painter's
shows
Palette.
up.
It's a perfect name.
And it kind of comes wherever it wants to go. And in all actuality, I very rarely yank anything out there. I just kind of let it do its thing.
And that's naturalizing. And this is the perfect kind of garden for naturalizing.
Yeah.
So things will kind of pop up where nature wants
Thought
them.
they should be.
Thought they should be. Yeah. And I love how your eye gets drawn because, like this plant, for example, I see it all along the path up there. Yeah, so let's walk up and see what we can see.
This is good Carex, Ice Dance Carex.
This is Ice Dance. Okay, and Carex, it's C-A-R-E-X. So tell us a little more about this
This
plant.
is as tall as it gets. Okay. It's not invasive. It does spread, but in a shade garden, it's awesome.
It's a great edger.
Isn't it? Yeah.
It's perfect.
I mean, I even cut this up because the lawnmower can't get through.
Right.
Yeah,
it's really beautiful.
It's really, really nice.
Beautiful.
I have a lot of the gold heart.
Oh, the bleeding heart.
Yes,
Dicentra.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, and that...
Because that's like right there. It fills up. You can see one in a shade garden. They last all summer.
Yeah.
They start to look ratty. I just kind of leave them until they look really ratty.
Yeah.
And then cut them out.
And the gold heart Dicentra is when it's chartreuse leaf.
It's a chartreuse leaf with a pink flower. See it?
But I remember when it first came out, it was just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure how hardy it was going to be.
Oh,
sometimes
beautiful.
those...
It really makes a spotlight in your garden. So I do have those throughout the garden. Another good one is the Baptisia.
Yeah.
Right there. But I only like the original. That really is the most hardy.
And that's the blue one?
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know the Baptisia...
Australis.
Yes, yeah. And I know there's like a yellow with a little purple, which I would think would look great in here, but...
I've heard pros and cons about a lot of the hybrids.
Okay.
I don't know how hardy they are.
Yeah. And I know one thing, as somebody who's worked at a nursery for much of your career, that one thing you have done is you kind of bring things home and give them a try.
Yeah. And
give them the old Jan once over, and boy, if it doesn't work in your garden...
It's not going to work.
Right.
because I don't, like I say, I don't overfeed. I don't baby it. I don't have time.
Right.
So, you know, just do
So
your
what you
thing
have
and
is
be
like
nice.
and you've like just really strong performers, and that also where we work, that allows us as gardeners
Right, to recommend them.
and know that they really will
And
work.
not buy in ones that you know aren't going to be hardy.
Yeah.
There's another Persicaria right there, that red dragon.
Beautiful.
And that's like, it's very sparse. It certainly is not vigorous like the painter's palette or the, you know, the firetail.
Right.
But that
look
one,
at that leaf.
it's beautiful. And in spring, it's really dark burgundy. But one of the buyers for Plant Group had told me you have to bury that 6 inches deep into soil. So literally when I bought it, the plant was like only this big. So I said, all right. So I just buried the whole thing.
Yeah.
But I made sure it was 6 inches
Yeah.
and it survived. If you don't do that, it's not going to survive.
But it's perfect the way it's just
perfect.
one little piece, but it's so.
And it might get a little bit green by the end of the summer. That's it right there. Because this is only like that Persicaria in this area.
And you said, so this is a lot of bulbs. Is that a hellebore in there?
Yes, the hellebores are all over the place.
Yeah.
A lot of them are babies.
Because hellebores.
I got hellebores all over the place.
And one of the things we love about hellebores is they seed themselves too, and
Yes,
that
they
foliage
do.
stays so fresh.
Yep.
And these are these native asters?
These are native
that's
Eupatorium.
Eupatorium.
Yeah.
That's right. That's beautiful.
Yeah. Regosium, I think it is.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Ooh, let's keep going.
This is Hakonechloa all gold,
Yes.
which so far has not reverted.
Okay. So Japanese forest grass.
Right.
And what's cool about it is, like the Carex, this can thrive in shade.
Yep.
And people are always looking for grasses that'll do something in shade. And look at how it keeps its color.
Even better in the shade. When I
better.
had this in a little too much sun in my old garden, and it
probably
burned.
Burned.
So I had to move it, and this is clearly happy here.
Yeah. What I'm also loving, and I knew to expect this, is just finding all these little hidden treasures, all these little pieces of like architectural interest through the garden. It's like discovering little secrets.
That's kind of what I do with anything that's architectural. Is I don't hide it, but I place it in a place where it's going to draw you into it. You go, oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
You know, rather than having it like right in your face.
Yeah. And build the thing around it.
Right.
It's like, oh, you know, ooh, look at over there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the Firetail Persicaria.
Oh yeah.
See, I love Persicaria.
Yeah, and it's rare to see it in people's gardens. It's just not something.
It is,
but
and
it's perfect here.
It's all over Europe, and I don't understand why it's not used more widely here. I really, really don't. I have big masses of that.
But this is the way to use it.
Yes.
I mean, I would be tempted at first glance to say this is a very informal garden, but it isn't, because there's such a sense of order and purpose here, even though it's soft and flowing. I mean, it really, talk about a design that isn't in your face. I mean,
It's definitely a garden that has been well edited.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And down to not having a billion different types of things. Because my problem is, you know, I want everything and I want to see if it'll grow, and then it ends up looking not like a beautiful quilt, but just like a mishmash. So this is
plants. Yeah.
Gorgeous. And I see lots of little hydrangeas kind of poking
And that actually had blooms on it the other night.
I see it.
Guess who visited me?
Oh, would you have deer?
Oh yeah.
I wondered about that because woodland gardens. I mean, I bet deer.
I think it was last year. I wasn't able to get out because of my leg problem, and I think they really made themselves at home. I've sprayed. I have a deer fence. Well, actually falling down, but yeah, they ate just about all my Annabelles, so there would be more. You know,
the Annabelle hydrangeas.
Yes, which is one of my favorites.
Yeah, and that's a big blousy one, right?
Yeah.
I see a bishop's weed here.
Yep.
And it's being very well behaved.
Well, I edit it.
Okay, because
you do have to yank it out after the.
It's so pretty. I love it, but it's invasive. I mean, it is invasive.
Yeah,
let's face it.
It is.
But I mean, that's just perfect there.
Yeah.
I love that combination.
Yeah. This is Lance Corporal Persicaria.
Okay.
That gets a red flower around this time of year.
So, and look at it next to Painter's Palette.
You really have to keep your eye on that. That's very invasive. Very, very, very. It'll take over a hillside.
More so than Painter's Palette.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look at the size of these hellebores. Holy cow. Oh, I
And
just
that's,
love the urns. No, too, like that the architectural elements that you have, like that's one of your things that you love doing, right? It's kind of collecting those things.
I collect on that. It's been collected in totally different places throughout the
Yeah.
years.
But they're all like,
yeah.
none of these things are coming from like Ocean State job lots. These are all beautiful.
No,
Nothing
actually,
against Ocean
yeah.
State job lots. But
yeah.
But I mean, I know that
You
these are
have
like,
to look, and I would say if you go to Trade Secrets or something like that, if you see it, you need to get it, because something like that is usually from a dealer. You're not going to see it again.
It's kind of a one of a kind.
I know a few dealers, and what they're saying now is that they're actually having a lot of trouble getting a lot of the old pieces from New York or any of the really good iron.
Okay. Famous garden writer Tova Martin wrote in her article in Best of Connecticut magazine in September of 2007. She said about Jan, "The gal's got flair." I think that about sums it up. Here's a great example of what garden writer Tova Martin called an alluring forest primeval amidst everyone else's compulsively mown lawns.
Macra, Hakonechloa, and it's supposed to stay variegated, but it actually reverts back to totally green.
When you say reverts,
I mean,
so when you bought it, it looked different from this.
Yeah, it was variegated. It had gold in it, and it was, it was striped. And we sell it all the time as variegated, but this is actually what happens to it. But this is after like 20, 25 years.
Okay.
Does that.
But it is good to know, because I think a lot of plants, like a lot of the echinaceas and things now,
they revert back.
They go back to sort of the original form.
Yeah.
I like the stone morph here.
This is like all ostrich fern in through here, and it stays nice and big in spring. It's like very upright, nice and green. But now it's it's fall, so it dies back.
But still the color. So ostrich fern. I mean, what's nice is the scale of it.
The scale of it, yeah.
But even so, I mean, looks like it gets a little fall color even. Maybe.
It does. It turns yellow.
Yellowy, yeah.
It doesn't last too long.
Yeah. Little bench back there.
Careful, uneven.
Yeah. We were just talking about the Australis-Bluestar. It's
I love
the
that
yellow
one.
form.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah.
I had some from Sydney at my last house, but I didn't make the trip.
It's beautiful. And I love how...
And I don't mind if goes underneath, because it just kind of dies out. You pull it out.
It's so delicate
and it just comes
looking.
back, yeah.
It's
nice and ferny.
Oh, and look at your Japanese maple.
I don't know what kind it is.
It's pretty.
It was given to me by a vendor, so I can't tell you what kind it is.
Oh, and I see you've got your little wild gingers back here.
Yes. Yeah, they kind of go all over the place.
Love them.
Like I say, I just leave native trees, leave native pines. Some of these rhodies I think are native. The one in the front, the huge one over there, that's a native. And these I had planted a long time ago, like 30, 35 years ago. And
it just looks like it just grew here. It doesn't look like you did it, which I love. It's
evergreen.
Because much of this is gonna, the perennials will die back.
Right.
So the evergreen elements are things that you'll be able to see from your window. And I know one thing you were striving for too is to kind of blur the boundary between the house and the garden.
Yes.
So that the spaces
that's
work
a Frank
together.
Lloyd Wright concept, and my dad was a big believer in Frank Lloyd Wright. And you are to see the land. You're not to see your house. Your house.
Yeah.
It's a really cool concept, and that's why you see a lot like Falling River in Pennsylvania. You see his house built into a hillside with rock and everything. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And you're just supposed to be surrounded by nature, and if you are, it's like very relaxing to live after you, especially like the job we do in retail, dealing with people all the time.
Yeah.
But
To come home and have this kind of
yeah,
peaceful
exactly.
oasis. And again, I know we're going to see the deck, which I think was featured in Sydney Edison's book, Gardens to Go, which is about container gardening. And so, just making that transition easy and blended. It's beautiful. Ah,
there's something.
That's one of my favorites. This is Sun King Aralia, and as Jan came and visited my garden, and this is something that I use as like a punctuation.
No, believe it or not, there were 2 more there, and Mr. Vole came to visit.
Mr. Vole.
Gone. So we'll see what's left next year.
Yeah. What's this?
Amsonia hubrechtli.
That's, wow. So that's going to get some fall color.
That gets yellow.
That's Amsonia hubrechtli. And this is the one, I think it was Perennial Plant of the Year, one year.
Yes, it was. Not too long ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you've got, what's this behind?
That is Callicarpa.
So Callicarpa is Beautyberry.
Yeah.
And what are the berries?
The berries,
I see they're set already.
Yeah, they're set, bloomed and everything, and those turn, they turn pink, purple,
It really lives up to its name.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And I think those are super hardy. Like, ordinary gardeners can plant those and get great success with them. And
yeah.
Do the birds eat the berries?
They will.
I think
it's the
so.
last one they go to.
Okay.
Okay.
And I know that this garden, there are a lot of things planted in here. You were mentioning the finches and stuff. So you do plant for wildlife and
I
birds
do,
to come in.
and that's why I leave the seed heads up. I mean, you're going to have bees until the red's gone out of the Persicaria firetail.
And a lot of this is native in
Yeah.
here, which is great.
It's a mix.
Yeah.
And these are all macrophylla hydrangeas, which actually bloom, but they really didn't this year. So I don't know.
Those are, you said,
Macrophyllas. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Boxwood?
Tide Hill Boxwood.
That's the one you're mentioning to me. Tide Hill Boxwood.
So this is not, the Tide Hill is not trimmed.
Okay.
I do poke holes into it and trim from the main stem to give it circulation.
Okay.
It does not get diseases, believe it or not. It's not like the other ones. It's like a cloud.
It's not susceptible to the boxwood blight?
It is not.
Wow.
So this is like, I want to say, somebody asked me how many plants I had, but I started with, I said like 1, 2, maybe 3 on this side. There was a pathway in there.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 and 3, I'm saying. And this is what it's done through the years. I would say this has probably been in here like 25 years at least, maybe more.
I love this because it doesn't look like, the lump boxwood popsicles.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
It's very cloud-like.
It is cloud-like. Now we're obviously on a little hill here. In terms of your design, you worked with the grades and the that were here. You didn't like bring in earth
I did
movers,
not. No.
which I love because
I would love to put stone steps here.
Yeah.
But that's another.
But having this is actually perfect because you get this.
You get the
new
view,
perspective.
You get all that.
Of the lower garden.
And there is a lot. If you really look at this garden, even though it's shade, there is a lot of color.
Yes.
Your hydrangeas always
100%.
draw you in, even though my Annabelles were eaten this year. But
And just again, the punctuation of that purple Angelica. That's just such a special.
That and the painter's palette.
Unique touch. I think.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I designed that, and Dave built it.
Oh, the pergola.
So, it's like a separation from one room into the next to go next to the house.
Yeah. That's gorgeous. And I like, too, how, speaking of Frank Lloyd Wright, the color of the house obviously is intentionally chosen to be...
Blend.
To blend.
To blend in the background.
So that it feels a part of nature.
Because if it was a lighter house or anything like that, or blue or whatever, it would really...
be unnatural.
Yeah, it wouldn't.
It would take
fit in
away.
with this garden.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Love it.
Oh, this is that.
Yeah, we have to talk about this.
So this is what it does.
What's it called?
Stephanandra.
Stephanandra.
And
something.
But I had never seen this shrub before. Jan showed it to me at Riverside where we work, and I just immediately said, so this is
Look
how
at the
you
leaf.
use it. I know.
Because the tiny little white flower in spring, really a nondescript flower. But if you want something to take up space or something like that, or just creep along,
It's gorgeous.
it's great.
It's basically like a ground cover shrub.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You said it. And it roots. We have
Where
to
it
watch.
touches.
Wherever it touches.
it
Sort of like
roots.
hydrangea, but
So you can just cut it off and
Love it.
perfect.
give somebody a
Yeah,
plant.
so I bought one of these. I'm very excited to figure out where to put it.
So excited to actually get to meet you and hear about this, because this is always one of my favorite things in my gardening books.
Well, I will say that this is like perfect placement of this ornament. And
Do you have to water it a lot?
actually, well, this year no. When you're in a dry year, yeah, you do if you want to keep it green. But it's just basically moss right now. I know in Sydney's book there was a few other things in it, like baby tears and whatever, but I just can't find them.
But these are natural stones.
These are quartz, yeah. These are quartz. These are heavy. And there's 3 of them. And I know in Japanese terminology, when the Japanese people would come through on the garden tours, I had one person say, you use a lot of 3s. And he said, that is good and it means something, but I don't remember what I mean.
It's the feng shui.
It's a feng shui? Is that what it is? Okay.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And you've got a certain amount of coverage here, that a little,
Yeah,
bit,
yeah.
bit of light. So
Yeah. And it's very relaxing.
and
And I thought everybody would come down. There's really nothing to do with the sides because it was steep down to the next property. So we built a deck.
It blends to the garden.
It does, yeah.
Especially with all your iron pieces connecting to your other iron artwork out in the garden, and all your pots, and it flows beautifully. This is just an amazing collection of objects and plants. So
These are zinc planters, and this is really, really good concrete, which you also can't find anymore.
I love your sort of pineapple artichoke shaped.
My mushrooms
And
are
your
kind of like,
Wonderful. And again, the iron elements that relate back to the garden.
it's real simple. This is simple.
I love how you've taken objects, whether they're the iron or the stone, and things that might otherwise be sort of off in the garden on their own, and collected them into urns. Or, this is a great way to use an urn. It doesn't always
Right.
have to have a plant in
It
it.
is not.
You've got these sort of
I can't
nautilus
remember.
shells.
Yes, yeah.
Stone nautilus shells that
Gather moss.
gather moss. And,
Yeah.
that's wonderful.
Sydney Edison said about Jan's garden that you'll see every nuance of green, and that she has a flair for decorating, a strong sense of design, and a healthy respect for the genius loci. It has almost a Japanese garden kind of feel, because it's almost like floating above the garden.
Yeah. Beautiful. Let's see, like in the winter, you can see I have 3 tailed cottonwoods
Yes.
in here.
So you can see that in the winter. So there is a lot of interest in all 4 seasons.
Yeah.
Might not be plants in the wintertime, but you have
Yeah.
the forms of the shrubs. And
Yes.
You know.
And that's a principle of good garden design.
Right.
That you have to have something to look at in the winter and as well. Well, guys, so we've just had such a wonderful visit to Jan's garden.
This is a really special garden.
It is indeed. And Tova Martin said in the article that I was mentioning before that Jan infuses every garden element with whimsy and panache. I think she is
really
right
is true.
on. Yeah.
It's really true. This garden really is it's a master class in the combination of plants, foliage plants in particular, and architectural detail.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
I knew that I would love this garden. I knew that this would be aspirational for me, but I I don't think I expected to love it as much as I did,
Yeah.
and it was spectacular. So it was lovely to spend time with Jan and meet her beautiful dog Ty.
Yes.
And so thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you guys next time on New Digs.